Pre-recorded from an undisclosed location, it's the 5,000 subscriber Q&A. And now, here's your host, Director Nat.
Thank you. Thank you. Gosh, what a wonderful audience sound effect, and thank you so much to all the people who are watching this long after I have actually recorded it. Gosh. Well, welcome everyone to the 5,000 subscriber Q&A. I'm your host, Director Nat. Also, since I originally announced this Q&A, my channel hit 1 million views, so this is a 5,000 subscriber and 1 million views Q&A. So thank you so much to all of my subscribers and everyone who has watched my channel. It really means a lot hitting that mark, especially for a small YouTuber like me. And now it's time to get down to business. You guys submitted your questions, a lot more questions than I expected, if I'm being honest, but that's okay because that gives me a lot more to work with. So yeah, I've got all the questions pulled up right here. I'm gonna go through them one at a time. I'll try to answer in a timely manner so that this video doesn't end up being unnecessarily long. With that said, why don't we just get right into it? First question comes from Percussion Fellow on Patreon. I love that name, by the way, because I was in band in middle and high school, and I love your choice of a profile picture. What are your hobbies besides media and reactions? What makes the director himself tick? Well, if I'm not allowed to include media in that, I guess it gets a little harder to answer, but yeah, I do have a few other hobbies. I'm going to cheat a little bit because I assume you're asking what I do besides watching media, but obviously I love collecting things. I love going to places like Half Price Books and my local comic shop and adding new things to the collection. And if you've seen some of my other reactions, you know that I'm also really into music. I've been a theater, band, choir kid since high school, and so I love occasionally learning to sing things on my own, doing separate videos for that. I also play trombone, but I only break it out every once in a while. I have no idea how this is going to sound with my current setup, and it's going to be very awkward to work around my equipment, but we'll just see what happens. Maybe I'll play the rest of that once I actually figure out how to play it. Other hobbies, I do Kenpo karate a few times a week. I've been doing it for about 4 months now, and I think I'm making good progress. I also like hanging out with my friends in town, catching up with long-distance friends, and I do love occasionally going to the movie theater, although obviously I don't go as much as I used to. So again, yeah, that question is a little bit if we're excluding media and entertainment and stuff, but those are just a few of the hobbies that I like to do outside of this channel. Oh, look at that! My dear brother decided to post a question. Thanks, bro. Favorite Pokemon? Colin, you know damn well what my favorite Pokemon is. It has not changed at all since we were kids.
Squirtle. Squirtle.
Welcome to the team, Squirtle.
Squirtle.
And Dave, if you're watching this, I know what kind of joke you want to make, and I do not want to hear it. Bad enough I have to deal with your comments on my second channel. Alright, and now we move on to the YouTube questions. I'm gonna start at the bottom with the oldest comments and just work my way up. I think that's only fair. Caleb Carver asks, what's your prediction for the Owl House 3-part Season 3 special? So I don't have any radical predictions or anything because there's only 3 double-length episodes left and there's only so much they can do at that time. But I will try to predict the general structure of how it's going to go. I think the first episode will be alternating between Luz and the others trying to get used to being in the human realm and everybody else in the Boiling Isles trying to collect themselves and deal with the Collector after everything that went down. Then the second episode will probably be a mix of trying to get back to the Boiling Isles and more people coming together against the Collector, and they probably won't take as long to get back there as they did in Amphibia because they just don't have as much time. And then episode 3 will be the big final showdown and the characters either saying goodbye or figuring out what they're gonna do now, bringing the show to a close in general. So yeah, nothing too significant, but I do think that's the general structure they're going to follow. What new series are you going to react to? So yeah, I guess this is an important question, so let me explain my general process going forward. Because the thing is, as much as I love this channel, reactions just aren't my only interest, and if I try to take on too many responsibilities, then I feel burned out and it's just not fun anymore, and if it's not fun, then the reactions are going to be less fun. So going forward, my general plan is to react to 1, maybe 2 series at a time time if I can manage it. And I do primarily want to react to new series that are coming out because that's the most fun I have on this channel and it just brings in more views. I wish I could be one of those reaction channels that reacts to a bunch of different shows, both ones that are currently airing and older ones, but unfortunately, that's just not who I am, both for practical reasons and just because it's not as much fun. But I have gotten a few suggestions. A lot of people want to see my reactions to Arcane. People have recommended Star versus the Forces of Evil, which I have seen a couple episodes of, but I certainly haven't committed to it. Then there's Dragon Prince Season 4, which I want to react to, Harley Quinn. That would be a more adult show to check out. But I don't do live action reactions as much, and I know Cobra Kai Season 5 is coming out later this year, and I love that show, so maybe I'll finally start reacting to that again. So yeah, I do want to keep doing reactions on this channel, and I want to include some older stuff occasionally, but again, the reality is that I'm a slow editor. I don't always have a lot of time, and there's only so much work I can put into this before it stops being fun and I feel burned out. Not to mention that I also have my second channel now, the Media Monologue, and I want to be doing more over there, but I don't always have as much time because I have to be editing videos for this channel. So yeah, right now I can't say exactly what my next reaction series is going to be, but that's kind of in general my process for this channel. Alex asks, what is the best toppings in pizza and what is a weird topping that is actually good? Well, I can only speak from my experience because I'm vegan, but two toppings that I pretty much always get whenever I go to Blaze Pizza is spinach and the spicy chorizo.
The spinach inquisition is here and it's a hoot. The spinach inquisition.
Some call it a leafy fruit.
The spicy chorizo obviously is good, but I did not expect spinach to be a good pizza topping. Like, maybe it just makes me feel a little healthier despite the fact that I'm eating pizza, but whatever the case, I just seem to really like it on my pizza. I don't know why. What is your favorite movie? Back to the Future. If anyone were to ask me what's a movie I think is perfect, Back to the Future would probably be my go-to answer. What is your favorite show besides The Owl House? Man, I love a lot of shows, but off the top of my head, SpongeBob SquarePants, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Legend of Korra, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Yeah, I'm sure I could name a bunch of others, and it's hard to narrow it down to just one, but those are a few other shows that I like. What is your favorite character in The Owl House? Luz and Amity are tied for my favorite character. I love Luz because she's such a great character and I relate to her a lot in many ways, and I love Amity because she has some of the best character development I've ever seen, and I love seeing her arc throughout the show, and when they come together they just make a great team. So yeah, they are tied for my favorite character. And most importantly, what is your favorite dinosaur? A pterodactyl. Don't ask me to pronounce it the right way. Have you ever considered reacting to an anime series on this channel? Yes, I have. In fact, I wish anime was something that I had more experience with. Don't get me wrong, I love anime, and there are definitely quite a few anime series that I have loved, but I wouldn't say I'm as well versed in the anime community as I am with traditional Western cartoons. So I'm definitely open to reacting either to a new anime series or maybe something older that's really popular. I've only seen one episode of Cowboy Bebop, and that's only one season, so maybe I could react to a show like that. This might be a bit personal, but how are you doing? Well, thanks for asking. I actually am doing pretty good lately. I certainly won't say that my life is perfect and that I don't have my bad days, but I'm definitely doing better than I was several months back. Like, there was a point last year, without going into too many details, that I was really struggling with depression and even some suicidal thoughts, but I got myself into therapy, and ever since then I've done my best to get into good habits. I'm on a pretty consistent schedule now. I'm trying to eat better, keep in touch with my friends. So just in terms of my overall health, I'm doing better. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to motivate myself to pursue bigger long-term goals or to, enhance the best parts of myself. But that's really something everyone struggles with. Overall, my life is good. I have people I love who I can count on. I love doing what I do on my channel because it may be small, but it's still mine. It allows me to be creative, and there are definitely things I have to look forward to. So yeah, I'm not perfect, obviously, but I'd say overall I'm doing good right now. You evidently have director experience. Do you wish to return to this and produce something in the future? So here's a dirty little confession I have to make. I actually don't really have a lot of directing experience. Now, obviously, I've kind of dabbled with directing because I was in the theater department and I would work closely with directors, and I wrote some plays for the Plays in a Day festival, so I would give my direction to the directors and the actors before they would go on to do it. And I've loved making videos my whole life. Me and my friends used to make our own funny little YouTube videos when we were kids, and so none of us were ever the official director. We would like work together and have our own ideas, and I would like direct my little brother when he would come in to help us. But I don't actually have like real directing experience, but I would love to get into it at some point because I, love getting to oversee a creative project and being able to manage. So yeah, that's definitely something I would like to get into at some point, but it's just not something I have as much experience in. To tell you the truth, the reason I'm called Director Nat is because when I first started this channel, my name was Director Jedi Nat, because I thought I was going to be a Star Wars channel at the time, so I kind of included Director because it's like, Director Krennic, and Director Jedi Nat kind of sounds like Master Jedi Knight, so that was kind of my weird way of coming up with that name. But when I eventually realized I wasn't going to be a Star Wars channel, I just changed my name to Director Nat Reviews and Reacts, and I just kind of like the name, so yeah. What is your favorite Owl House fanfic you've read? I don't remember the name of it. I think it was one I read on DeviantArt, but maybe you guys could let me know if you've heard of it. It's like this one where Luz and Amity are hanging out one day, and then they find themselves kidnapped, and they like wake up tied up, and it turns out that Odalia has, like hired somebody to do it, and she says that, "I'm disappointed with you, Amity. I'm going to get you under control from now on, and Luz will be sent to the Conformatorium." I thought it was really well written, and it had some nice art that went with it. I thought the author did a good job of like making it really intense and like putting these characters in a horrible situation, but thankfully he did make a comment that he was gonna like eventually write a follow-up where things would work out at the end. And I just like, before we actually saw Odalia in season 2, it was a really good way to show how villainous she could be. So again, I don't remember what the name of it is, but if you guys know, feel free to tell me. What is your favorite Amphibia fanfic you've read? I actually haven't read a lot of Amphibia fanfiction, but there was this one comic that Mooring Mark did. I think it's the only Amphibia comic he ever did around the time that the show was first premiering. It's like where Anne and Sprig are talking to each other, and Anne is explaining Star Wars, and then she like starts telling about Luke Skywalker and the Death Star, and I just loved that because it was one of those moments where I would love to be in Anne's position in a completely different world, being able to introduce completely different people to Star Wars, because obviously I like Star Wars, so yeah, I guess that's the closest example I can cite. What made you want to get into the Owl House? Well, it was back in late 2020. I was watching and reacting to She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, and I was about to finish with that. So I needed a new show to help fill the void because I was really sad that I was done with that. And me and my friend at the time were kind of talking about it, and he said I was trying to get him into She-Ra, and he was trying to get me into Owl House. So I promised that Owl House was going to be the next show that I reacted to, and I knew that a lot of people had been recommending it to me, so I watched it, and with each subsequent episode I really absolutely fell in love with it, and so I'm really glad that I stuck with it. What made you want to get into Amphibia? Kind of the same deal. One, because a lot of people had been recommending it to me at the time, and I also heard Amphibia mentioned with the Owl House a lot because apparently they were announced at the same time and they had a similar premise. So I initially thought, well, maybe I should watch Amphibia first and like react to them both at the same time in the order that they came up. But I was like, well, that's also going to take a lot longer, and Owl House is what I'm interested in right now. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that I started with the Owl House just because it speaks to me a little more. So yeah. Have you ever thought about reacting to a movie? Yeah, I have thought about it, but obviously that would just be a lot more time consuming, so I haven't gotten around to it, but I'm definitely open to it. Have you finished watching Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts? If so, what did you think of it? I'm really mad at myself, but I actually haven't gotten around to finishing it yet, and no, I'm not going to do any more reactions. I'm sorry, but I have to move on from that at this point. But no, I really do love Kipo. Me and my friend are kind of in the same boat. We've both started the show, but we haven't finished it. I'm about halfway through season 2, and it's really, really good. I do want to finish it, but for whatever reason, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. What is your favorite Owl House / Amphibia fan art? Gosh, there is just way too much good stuff out there for me to pick just one, but pretty much anything by Mooring Mark in regards to the Owl House. He is always posting new stuff, and I just love the content that he makes. And as I said, you know, since I already mentioned that one Amphibia comic he did, I did really like that one. In Sprig's creepy voice.
Have you killed a man?
Not yet. I mean, no, and I don't plan on it. What Coven tracks would you want to be in if you were in the Owl House universe? A lot of the tracks are really cool. Off the top of my head, I would say either the Illusion Coven or the Bard Coven, because illusions are really cool, and obviously that would present a lot of creative opportunities. But the Bard Coven range shows that you can actually do a surprising amount of things with Bard magic if you experiment, and obviously I've been a musician for quite a while, so I think the Bard Coven would be fun. What would you want your palisman to be? I think I'd want my palisman to be a duck.
Check it out. I'm a duck.
Or a penguin. I like ducks and penguins. Would you want to be a frog, newt, or toad? I think I would personally go with a frog, and it would also just be really cool to be able to hop around. Have you watched the hilarious Owl House or Amphibia Abridged series? No, I have not, but that sounds very interesting to me because I didn't know that existed and that could provide a new reaction opportunity, so I will definitely keep it in mind. As a Star Wars guy, what's your opinion on the upcoming Andor show? So I have commented on this a couple of times, but here's the thing. I have more mixed feelings on Star Wars these days. Don't get me wrong, my love for Star Wars has not gone away, but the reality is would have some problems with the current state of the franchise. I used to love the sequel trilogy, but the reality is that it's just not good, and a lot of the content that Disney has produced has either been underwhelming or frankly disappointing. Now, I used to be really critical about it, but Rogue One has actually become my favorite Disney Star Wars movie, although I do admit that it is flawed, but Cassian Andor was a really cool character, and I would be interested to know more about him. So I think that the series has potential, but then again, it's all about execution. It could either be, a Mandalorian season 1, which was better, or it could be like Book of Boba Fett, which was pretty bad in my opinion. So I may check it out, but I haven't even watched the Kenobi series yet. I'm just waiting for all the episodes to come out, so we'll see. What is your favorite She-Ra fanfic you've read? I know this is probably cheating since it's kind of been confirmed that Noelle Stevenson was the one who wrote it, who I believe now goes by ND Stevenson. And I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head, but it's that fanfic that takes place between season 5, episode 5 and 6 about like Adora helping Catra right after they've saved her from Horde Prime. Because it was really, really well written and tied into the show really well. And I know that a lot of people assume that ND Stevenson wrote it because they tweeted out some fan art that was related to it afterwards. So I know it may technically be cheating because it's debatable whether it's actually fan fiction after that, but it's the best example I can think of. If we were to get a She-Ra movie, what would you want it to be about? Now, even though I think She-Ra had a really good ending and it could stop there if they wanted to, I really do hope we get more She-Ra at some point. 1, because I love it, and 2, because there is one element that I feel has been left unresolved. Because ever since the beginning of the show, they have been hinting at Adora's past, who her family was, where she came from, and it was a really burning question for her, but she still hasn't gotten any resolution on that front. Now, you could argue that she's moved on and maybe it's better to leave her past shrouded in mystery, but I'm really curious to see her meet her family, because at the end of the series, she and everyone else were planning to go out into the universe to help restore magic, and we do know that there is maybe a sect of the first ones still left out there, so I just think it would be really cool to see what her family looks like in this universe. It probably wouldn't be the same as in He-Man, just because I don't think those characters are owned by the same people anymore, but I think it would not only provide some resolution for Adora, but it would also just be really interesting to explore, so I hope they go into that. Do you think the Owl House would have been a good musical if it wanted to be? I definitely think they could have integrated some great music in there, but I don't know how I feel about it actually being a musical. What Game of Thrones house would you want to be a part of? Well, my first instinct was to say the Starks, because I actually do really like the Starks and their sense of honor, but then again, given how things typically work out for them, I definitely wouldn't want to be a Lannister, but gosh, I guess I really don't know many other houses off the top of my head, so yeah, I guess I'll just say Stark. When is your next episode coming? Well, at the time I'm recording this, the next one is my Amphibia series finale reaction. I'm sorry those have been taking so long, but like I said, things have been busy and I'm a slow editor, but hopefully that will be coming out within the next week, but then again, I'm also going to be editing this, so you know what, I'm just not going to make any promises. Any wishes, dreams, hopes, or plans for the future? Absolutely, I have lots of things that I want to accomplish. In terms of the arts, you know, I have lots of different interests. I'd love to get back into doing theater productions and see if I could make a name for myself in that. I'd love to be a working voice actor. I want to write my own novel. I want to get into the animation industry because obviously I've developed a huge passion for animation, so I'm not exactly the greatest artist. I'll have to improve my skills in that regard, but I would at least love to be a part of the production of a TV show, be a part of the creative process, and I would be interested in starting my own business, expanding this channel. You know, I'd love to start my own family someday, meet a good significant other. So yeah, lots of aspirations I have. Now, whether they all come to fruition, only time and my hard work, or lack thereof, will decide that. But yes, I absolutely have goals that are driving me forward. What's your favorite chocolate bar? Very important question. That's a little hard to answer since I'm vegan and I can't eat a lot of chocolate anymore, but again, I'm forgetting the name of it, but when I was in Frankfurt, I found a whole bunch of chocolate bars that were vegan and came in different flavors. I really wish I could remember what they were called, but I'd have to say that. Why did you become vegan? Okay, this is the question that I have been waiting for, and no, I'm not judging anybody or trying to push anything down anyone's throats. I'm just going to be honest about my opinion. So it was May of 2019, near the end of my junior year of college. I'd always been interested in going vegetarian just to try it out, and it is a little silly the reason that I decided to try it, but I had just seen Us, and there's that one scene, spoiler alert for the movie, but there's that one scene near the end where the characters are like eating rabbits alive, and that was kind of horrifying, so I suddenly found it harder to eat meat, especially, you know, like sandwich meat, just because I couldn't stop thinking about that. So I decided now was a good time to experiment with being vegetarian, and it turns out I actually really liked it, so I stayed vegetarian for about 6 months. And then it was around November of 2019, I watched a video from a YouTuber I was following at the time called Cosmic Skeptic, where he gave a speech at some kind of conference making a case for veganism, and I decided that I agreed with enough of his points to start transitioning to veganism. So ever since then, I have gone fully vegan. I've done more research into the health benefits, the ethical reasons, you know, the effect on the environment, all that stuff, and I've been trying to do my best. Now again, I'm not saying I'm perfect, and believe me, I do understand the counter arguments, as my brother is both a hunter and a big meat eater. But the biggest thing is, for me personally, I'm just no longer comfortable eating animal products, knowing where they come from, and you know, the whole point of veganism is to, as much and as practically as possible, reduce the amount of stress and suffering that is put on animals. So if I can make, you know, even a small difference doing that, you know, and just for my own sense of mind, you know, that's why I do it. Will you react to The Dragon Prince Season 4 when it comes out? Hopefully I will, because I've come to love The Dragon Prince, especially in Season 3, and I'm very curious to see what direction the show is going to take. But obviously it depends on whether I'm reacting to another show at the time or if anything comes up, but I am going to try to react to it when it comes out if I can. Because someone has to be that girl, I'll take a bullet for the team. Do you have a boyfriend, and if so, what's his name? So you want to know if I'm part of the alphabet mob, huh? Well, I don't know what could have possibly given you that idea. But in all seriousness, no, I do not have a boyfriend. I don't have a girlfriend either. Obviously, this is a question that I was a little hesitant to answer, but I think I will go ahead. So the best way I can describe myself is that I am mostly straight. I have been strongly interested in girls pretty much my entire life. But obviously, being in choir in high school, being in a liberal arts college, and being on this channel where I react to stuff like The Owl House and She-Ra I've been in a very open environment, and so, and I've also had really supportive friends, so I have kind of asked myself that question. So I actually did identify as questioning for a few months ago, because I was exploring, you know, the difference between romantic attraction and sexual attraction, and, you know, trying to figure out what exactly I would want in a significant other. So yeah, the best way I can describe myself is that I am mostly straight, but I like to keep my options open. I like to think that I'm open to going out with a guy or someone of another gender orientation if I met the right person, but who knows, life is full of possibilities. Have you watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, and what is your favorite color? No, I have not watched Kenobi yet. I think my plan is to wait until the first 5 episodes come out, and then I'll watch 1 or 2 episodes a day leading up to the season finale so that I can judge it as a whole instead of forcing myself to watch it week to week. Because I was really disappointed with Book of Boba Fett, and that show was really irritating to have to, wait week to week. So I just don't want to do that with Kenobi again. I am interested to check it out, obviously, but I'm just tired of being underwhelmed or disappointed by new Star Wars content. So yeah, I will watch it at some point, just, not as it's coming out. Favorite color? Purple. Absolutely purple. I love that color. Have you considered reacting to Infinity Train if you've never seen it? I have not seen it, and I have considered reacting to it. Well, actually, I take that back. I did see, I think maybe the pilot episode from a few years ago, because I remembered one of my friends on Facebook shared the pilot of Infinity Train, and there was some kind of campaign going on to get Cartoon Network to make it into a full series, and I was like, oh, this is actually really good. I do hope they make it into a full series someday, but then they did make it into a full series, and I never ended up watching it. But I've heard great things about it, and it's been one of the shows that is requested on this channel, so I'm keeping it open as a possibility for future reactions. Also, what's your favorite Amphibia animation moment and favorite emotional moment? Favorite Amphibia animation moment, I would have to say it's that shot of Anne and Sprigg saying goodbye to each other in the series finale. That animation and the way it swivels around was so beautiful, and Matt Braley shared that moment, and the animator after the series finale. So yeah, I love that. And favorite emotional moment obviously is where Marcy gets stabbed at the end of season 2. Everything had been building to that moment. Marcy is my favorite character, and it was just executed so well, and I was, it took me quite a few minutes to compose myself before I could continue on with that episode. So yeah. Do you play video games? If so, which ones are your favorite? I do still play video games occasionally, but I'm just not as big a video game person as I used to be, because I guess I just don't really have the patience for video games anymore. I guess just because they take so long, and because, you have to actually be doing things instead of just being able to sit back and enjoy it. But yeah, I do play some video games as they come out if they interest me, and I go back to play some older ones sometimes. I still love the Batman Arkham video games. I was a really big fan of the Sly Cooper series, and here's to hoping that they please make a 5th game at some point. I like the Lego Star Wars games. I've played a little bit of the new Lego Skywalker saga, and I really loved the Injustice games. Now, granted, the fighting is a little repetitive, but I'm just so invested in the story and the intensity that I can look past that. And of course, I love Star Wars games. Granted, I'm not, huge into that, but I absolutely love Knights of the Old Republic. It's probably one of my favorite video games of all time, because as someone who, loves the Star Wars universe and lore, that game was everything I could have wanted. And Battlefront 2, I've loved that since childhood. It is still such a great game. Why did you cut your hair? So in one of my recent Amphibia reactions, I revealed that I had actually shaved myself bald a few months ago. Basically, the reason I did it is because it's just something I've always wanted to try. I had a buzz cut when I was a kid, but I've never completely shaved myself bald before. And at the time, I had that idea where it's okay, I could completely shave myself, and then over the next 6 months, I'll take a picture of myself each day. But I guess the picture quality just wasn't very good, so I stopped doing that after the first month. So yeah, it was just something cool that I'd always wanted to try, and I was curious to see what my hair would be like growing back from scratch, how I might style it differently, and so it was a lot of fun to try. So now we'll see, where my hair is a year later, because I still haven't cut it yet, and we'll see how long it can get. Do you have any pets? Yes and no. My brother's cat Sugar lives with us while he is at college because he can't have any pets. So I guess she might as well be my cat at this point, because I'm the one who feeds her and she spends the most time in my room. But yeah, so technically yes and no. Apart from animation, what other interests do you have? So I kind of touched on this when I was going into my hobbies, but there are other things that interest me. Obviously, I love all kinds of entertainment, movies, books, and comics. I really do love comics. In fact, for a while, I was into reading all the Marvel comics, or at least a good chunk of them in order, but I kind of fell out of that. And I recently went through a bunch of the most important DC comics, and I have a better understanding of the overall DC timeline. I don't study it as much anymore, but religion and philosophy are a very interesting topic for me. Yeah, honestly, it is kind of hard for me sometimes to think about my interests if it doesn't involve entertainment or media in some way, but what can I say? That's just my general area of interest. Do you plan to continue singing, even if it's just for YouTube? Yes, absolutely. In fact, honestly, like I said, I want to be a voice actor, and I really should be doing more with my voice because I've loved singing my whole life. But, what can I say? I guess I've just gravitated towards other places, but yes, I will keep doing singing. What is your favorite character and episode from the following shows? DuckTales, Amphibia, and The Owl House. Okay, on DuckTales, I'd say my favorite character is probably Dewey. And my favorite episode is probably the series finale because it just wrapped everything up really well. There were some surprising revelations and it incorporated so many great elements. It was just a really good way to send the show off. Amphibia, my favorite character is absolutely Marcy. I love her so much. And my favorite episode is probably True Colors. It just had so many great moments and it really was impressive just how much they were able to manage in only 22 minutes. And Owl House, like I said earlier, Luz and Amity are tied for my favorite character. And my favorite episode, now I am going to have to rethink this because we've gotten so many great episodes in the second half of season 2, but last time I did an Owl House ranking, I said my favorite episode was season 2, episode 8, Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door. And I think that still holds up pretty well because I love that episode so much and it was really impressive how they were able to manage King's story, Edith's story, and Luz's story all while having Hootie as the central element tying them together. Do you have any ideas on what you've wanted to react to next? I know this isn't animated, but I feel like you'd really like Heartstopper. Fun fact, I actually did watch the first episode of Heartstopper on Netflix because I saw that Not So Average Fangirl was reacting to the series, and I really did like the first episode. I want to finish the show at some point. Don't know if I'll react to it, but yeah, I definitely do want to finish watching it. Do you watch any other YouTubers in your free time, and who's your favorite? Oh, there are a lot of YouTubers I watch in my free time. Obviously, I watch other reactors, Not So Average Fangirl, BFL Reacts, people like that. I'm also into a lot of movie essay channels like High Top Films, Captain Midnight, The Closer Look. And I also follow people who make shorter, fun videos like Forest Fire 101. I've loved his Lego animations since I was a kid, and he's still producing some truly great content. I also recently got into someone called Solid JJ, who he takes memes and makes new comedic shorts out of them. I especially love his Three Stooges shorts because people are always commenting that it basically just feels like an actual Three Stooges short from the 30s. So yeah, just off the top of my head, those are some YouTubers I really like. Would you do a co-reaction with someone? So I don't think I've mentioned this, but I actually did try to do a co-reaction a while back. Me and my friend Dave, we both watched the first 9 episodes of Cobra Kai season 4 on our own, and then I went over to his place and we recorded our reaction to the season finale of Cobra Kai. However, I obviously didn't have my normal equipment there, so I recorded on my phone, and not only did my phone not have much space, but the recording quality, it turns out, was really bad. So and it was just taking forever to edit it because of that, so I decided ultimately not to upload it. But I would really like to do a reaction with him at some point, and doing a reaction with somebody else who has never seen the Star Wars movies sounds really fun because it is my dream to finally introduce someone else to the Star Wars movies, because that would just be an amazing experience. And I think it would be fun to do a reaction with some of the reactors that I know, like BFL. If you're watching this, I'd love to do a reaction with you to something at some point. I don't know exactly how we'd set that up or what we would react to, but yeah, I definitely want to do a collaboration with someone at some point. What are your top 5 cartoons of all time? Oh geez, obviously I listed a few cartoons already when I was talking about my favorite shows, but this is just so hard because there are so many great cartoons I've watched throughout my life, and obviously the recency effect could play a role, but obviously the Owl House, I've come to love that show so much. SpongeBob SquarePants, especially the first 3 seasons, I've loved those since I was a kid, and I still quote them to this day. Ed, Edd n Eddy, because I loved that show so much when I was a kid, and it's still extremely funny. Avatar: The Last Airbender, obviously I gotta include that one, and I'll cheat and include Legend of Korra along with that, which isn't as good as a whole, but I still really love that show. And then I'll say She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, because of how much that show means to me since I reacted to it on my channel. Now, granted, if I were to go through every cartoon I've ever seen and then narrow it down to 5 instead of just listening off the top of my head, maybe the list would be different, but again, just based on what I'm thinking, I'll say those 5. Any theories on how the Owl House will end? I kind of went into this when I was predicting what the general structure would be, but unfortunately, like, part of me is thinking that they're gonna go the bittersweet route with Luz having to return to the human realm and never come back, which again, that would be really powerful, but I really, really hope they don't go that route, because one, we already had to deal with that in Amphibia, and but aside from that, I personally just don't think it would be as fitting an ending, because at least with Amphibia, the whole point of that show was they had been addressing the theme for a while about how time and distance, can't affect friendship, but they haven't gone into that as much with the Owl House, and one of the themes of the Owl House has been, accepting being a weirdo, a found family in a place that you would never expect, and obviously I love Lumity, so I hope that they don't go that route, but there is part of me that's saying that that's what they're gonna go with. Any headcanons you'd like to share? Actually, not that I can think of off the top of my head. What's your favorite music genre? I don't generally have a favorite genre. I basically just listen to individual songs based on whether I like them or not, but I guess I definitely like orchestral music, big symphonies, obviously because I was a band kid and those are some good stuff to listen to. But I do really love Weird Al and his song parodies. I know that's not really a genre, but that is an easy way to narrow it down. What are your favorite games? I assume you're talking about video games, but since I already answered that question, I'll talk about different kinds of games. I love Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, obviously. I love Apples to Apples, and I really love this game called Muffin Time, which is based off the Asdef movie by Tom Skerritt. If you've never seen those, go check them out. They're really funny. For a 3-month vacation, would you rather be in the town of Gravity Falls or in the Demon Realm, or any other town from a cartoon world? As fun as Gravity Falls would be, I would definitely have to pick the Demon Realm, because that would be a whole other experience unlike anything you could ever see on Earth. And yeah, there are a lot of cartoon worlds I would want to go to. I would want to go to Etheria. I'd love to go to the world of Avatar and Legend of Korra. Especially if I could meet some of the characters in these universes, those would be cool. Are there any shows that you just like to watch on your own time without cameras on? Absolutely. I kind of went into that a little bit with some of my other questions, but a few shows I'm watching right now include Ash vs. Evil Dead, All American, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is a fantastic show, by the way. I watched the first season when I was a kid, but never got around to season 2, so now I'm kind of watching 1 or 2 episodes a day, and it's really great. What's your favorite theory about the Owl House? It may be the standard go-to one, but I just love the idea that Azura is related to Luz in some way. The most popular one is that she's Luz and Amity's daughter from the future, but I've heard some other interesting ideas thrown out. That's one of the things I actually really loved about the episode where Luz and Amity are trying to figure out who the author of the Azura books is, and Amity is like, it's obviously your mother sent forward in time. Who's your favorite reactor on YouTube? Right now, I'd have to say Not So Average Fangirl. I just love the way her videos are edited. I like her setup, and she's just got a lot of, really fun and positive energy. She honestly makes me jealous sometimes because she's just so big and energetic, whereas I'm kind of a more monotone and reserved person unless I get really excited. But, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, but I really do enjoy her videos. Got any other projects for this channel? I definitely want to get back into doing reviews more often. Obviously my second channel is where I want to do full-length essay videos, but I am called Director Nat Reviews and Reacts, so I figure I could at least do some shorter reviews on this channel. And people really seem to like some of the funny little music things that I've done, so maybe I'll do more of those, or maybe I'll make some more fun edits with the Owl House and other cartoons like other channels do. Who knows? When a show you love ends, would you rather it be continued with the same cast but bad writing, or rebooted with a bad cast but good writing? That is a really hard question to answer, because honestly, whether I want something to continue is just a case-by-case basis, because sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But I guess I'd have to say that good writing is what counts the most, because, you know, even if casting is really bad or the actors don't do a great job, you know, writing and having a good idea can really save a show. Do you have a wife or a girlfriend? As stated earlier, I do not have a girlfriend at the moment, and I certainly don't have a wife. I honestly don't know if I'm ever going to get married. I mean, out of me and my brothers, I'm the most likely to do it, but on the other hand, I'm, kind of at that point in my life where I'm exploring a lot of different options, so who knows. What is the best World War II miniseries you like? I haven't really seen a lot of World War II miniseries. I did see someone watching one in the background on the History Channel a couple days ago, but I don't really remember what it was. Can I cheat and say Captain America: The First Avenger? No? What do you think a date with the Corps would be like? It'd probably be alternating back and forth between some funny and charming moments and them wanting to murder you for accidentally spilling their drink. Have you seen Steven Universe? Yes, I have seen Steven Universe. I absolutely love that show. Sure, it made some mistakes along the way and had some bumps near the end, but overall, it was a fantastic show and has some of my favorite TV moments of all time, so yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Okay, so those are all my questions from Patreon and YouTube, so now we've got a few more questions on my Instagram page. Team Sashan/Marsan/Sasharsi. Oh god, that was horrible pronunciation. So I've never really been a huge shipper of Sasha and Marcy. I've always really liked Anne and Marcy. I, liked their chemistry in season 2, and I always thought that they would make a good couple. But I definitely did warm up to Anne and Sasha in season 3, and honestly, it just seems like they're the most realistic couple, because obviously Marcy moved away, and now that Anne and Sasha are actually reconnecting, and they presumably live in the same town, and Sasha Waybright is confirmed to be bi, I do think that they are the most likely to be a couple, and I honestly wouldn't have a problem with that idea. I think that, they're different enough that they would have a really good dynamic, but, we'll see. Owl House or Amphibia? I love them both, but as a whole, I would definitely say Owl House speaks to me more, because Amphibia was a much more lighthearted and episodic show, especially at the beginning. Now, it did have a great overall story, and it had the advantage of actually having 3 full-length seasons, but Owl House, is just more my kind of show, and maybe because they had to really restrict themselves because of the shortened season 3, it feels like not a single second was wasted in season 2, so yeah, I would say Owl House for me. What character do you like the least on the Owl House? If we're talking about a character who I think is well written, but I just don't like them as a person, obviously I have to say Odalia. And if we're just talking about a character I don't like, I guess I'd say Tibbles, but that's really just a stretch, because there are really no characters that I hate on the show. He's, just the best one I can think of off the top of my head. Okay, and that is all the questions. I have been recording this for well over an hour now, so who knows how long this is gonna actually be once I edit it down, but that is the 5,000 subscriber, 1 million views Q&A. Thank you all so much for submitting your questions. Thank you to my 5,000 subscribers. Thank you to everyone who has viewed my channel. Just thank you all in general. It is really fun that I get to do this. It is, I love getting to have this channel. And thank you for everyone who tunes into the premiere and presumably asks even more questions. Yeah, this has just been really fun, and I'm glad I got to do this. And so here's to the next 5,000 subscribers on my channel. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. What did you think of this Q&A? Is this something you'd like to see more of? Do you have any ideas for other videos I could try? Are there any more questions that I didn't get to answer in this video that you're curious about? Whatever it is, feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments and let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss when I upload a new video. A very big thank you to all of my patrons, especially my fellow directors. Everybody's support goes a long way, and you are greatly appreciated. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.